Hello! And let's see if I can finish my intro by the time Pogba has taken a penalty. But welcome to my FPL 2020 to 2021 first draft with fixtures. I have already made a first draft, but that was without fixtures. So today I will show you my first draft for game week 1 with fixtures. Oh come on, I need a toilet. Oh, I'm just going to go on a 2-week holiday. Right, are we ready yet, Pogba?
I like it.
Starting my new first draft. It's not quite Alex the Lion, but it's Alex Mccarthy. He was probably numero uno on my list of cheap goalkeepers anyway, but with those sexy green fixtures, all the clean sheet points, but also with Southampton's defence sometimes being wibbly wobbly, then he can get some good save points too. Perfect set and forget keeper. Hopefully he doesn't forget to get me all the points though. Starting in defence. It's the Mr. Ball Whipper. I'll just hit it over there. Salah Mane will probably get it. It's Sir Trent Alexander. No matter what, he's staying in my team all season. Well, actually, I probably shouldn't say that, because if one of his legs just magically falls off, I don't think he'll do as well. But with 2 working points, all the clean sheets, all the assists, and even all the goals now too. Also in a Liverpool team, that are just kinda good. And they also have great fixtures. He's the perfect defender asset, straight in my basket. Next in the queue, joining my team is none other than Mr. Matt Doherty. Just like Trent, all the clean sheet points, all the goals and assists, but also great fixtures. But even in hard fixtures, Mr. Matt can do it too. Where last season he scored against Man City when Wolves did the double over them. So nothing to worry about with that game week 2 fixture against Man City for him. But talking about doubles, it's actually a double act with Salt and Vinagre chips alongside him. As it stands, Ruben Vinagre is the only fit left wing back Wolves have, with the injury to Johnny no Papa. But that is actually a Johnny yes Papa for us, as we now have a 4.5 million Wolves wing back as a very great option. Most top players will be going with at least one Wolves defender at the start, so a double up is definitely not a bad idea, especially with their value and points potential. And if Wolves don't play well, no problem. You can simply swap one of these out without having to worry if they turn good again, with still having one of them on the delivery run for us. Moving on to our final defender, the one that's definitely not locked in a cage and could swap to any player in the world. Okay, we can't quite have Wilfred Boney in defence yet, but any 4.5 million defender in the game. And right now, I've gone for James Justin. Expected to start with Pereira still deck-ched in hospital with only one working leg right now. But even though James Justin might not be proven in the Premier League yet, he is an attacking fullback with great fixtures, with the likes of West Brom and Burnley to play in the first 2. But this decision is definitely a hold up, wait a minute, because it is unclear if Leicester will even be able to field an entire defence, with Chilwell looking to take a road trip out of there to Chelsea, also with Johnny Evans suspended for the first 3 games. But it could see Leicester line up with a tighter back 4, so more potential of clean sheets if that happens. And there are some other 4.5 milli rocking options, including Lampard and Saliba for me, but we will have to wait and see. Moving on to the big boy moves, the big hitting, jaw spinning midfield, we start with Mo Salah. Now his FPL returns have actually been decreasing every season, but he's still the Egyptian king, the FPL king, scoring an average of well over 250 points in the last 3 seasons. Liverpool have got them sexy fixtures, but I mean, it's Liverpool. They can beat anyone. 99 points last season, easy. But apparently they can still lose to a team that ends up getting relegated. Watford on top. Salah on pens and sometimes on free kicks and corners, playing a promoted team at home first. From the words of Salah himself, for game week 1. I am the captain now. Next up besides him in this pocket emptying midfield is Pier, Emmerich, Aubameyang! Sometimes an Aubameyang yin-yang, as he can go weeks without scoring, then visit the dentist in other weeks getting a couple of braces. But with his opening fixtures to Fulham and West Ham at home, all the points to be Amazon primed into your FPL account. But with such a sharp turn of fixtures straight after, it actually gives us the perfect excuse to ship him off for a Manchester player for when they come back after their blank. Whether that be a City or United Manchester, that is all up to whatever we fancy. We don't have to decide yet, even though I've decided mine is De Bruyne. Then, next to him is the Rick and Morty IQ decision of having Greenwood. Now, if United don't get Sancho, Greenwood is the best priced United player, and having him on my bench, even with a blank game week, ensures I have United cover for their amazing run of Shrek Green fixtures on the fixture dank rating. Because even though you might choose your team to preset some planned transfers in a week or 2, you never know what could happen, and you don't know if all the players you get in end up getting injured and transferring to Albi City City instead. So I don't like the idea of planned transfers, especially too many at the start of the season, just in case the unpredictable happens. But with Greenwood not playing the first week, we now need a bench player that actually plays. Where right now, it's hard to see if there are any clear options at the minimum price, unless you got some little extra savings, like me, and you can afford the brand new B-Tech Fellaini, Thomas Soucek. Now, I've always said I don't like having value on the bench, but it effectively gives me the option of having 11 starting players game week 1, even with a benched United player. But also always an option to come off the bench just in case one of my other players doesn't play. But also the fact that his fixtures are so bad, it means I will never be tempted to play him instead of one of my players. So he will always stay on my bench for emergencies only, and has been nominated for the new water boy in my team. Now, going with this strategy does mean we might score slightly less the first week, where if I did a little tinkering and a little fiddling around, Greenwood could become someone that plays, someone like Son the first week. But I think that wouldn't be as good in the long run, as Man United have the best run of fixtures out of any team just after their blank, so I definitely want one of them in from the very start. So moving on to the snack attack. Now this forward is actually nipple twisting. Starting with Timo Werner. Chelsea love teasing the back of the net and play Brighton, West Brom and Crystal Palace all in the first 4 games. So is going for Werner without even seeing him play for Chelsea yet a risky reels worth taking? Well, maybe not, we have no idea. But the problem with Chelsea is, even if he does start, he will probably share some minutes, because after all, Giroud is king. But a natural goalscorer as good as Werner, probably on penalties too, as well as being a very kind price that if it doesn't work out, we can always downgrade him to Martial or even Jimenez. But if we don't go for him, and then he does start really well straight at the start, it might be quite hard to get him in, whilst you're also trying to get in the Manchester players in too. Then, moving on to our next net-bulging striker, it's the daddy himself, Danny Ings. He was the secret gem of last season, and it's always exciting to try and find another one straight away. But if it isn't broke, don't try and fix it. Danny Ings was the second top scorer in the league, whilst only just starting to take penalties too, so could continue to take them, whilst also being one of the most informed players in one of the most informed teams at the end of the season. Southampton also have arguably the best fixtures over the first 10 too, so that sounds to me like Danny Ings himself is potentially going to be the top scorer at the start of the season, whilst potentially also not being high owned, but super high points return income in, and that is why he's in. Finishing the team with the Undertaker of the Premier League, the Serbian monster, Alexandra Mitrovic. Now, at 6 million, and being from technically the lowest rated team coming up from the Championship playoffs, it could be a waste of space and money. But Fulham have actually got some of the best fixtures out of any team, so if there was ever a time to gamble on a cheap striker, it's Mr. Mitro himself right now. Also with almost all of Fulham goals all involving him, so if they do good, he do be doing good. Also my bench having Nyland, who could make a few appearances if and probably when Heaton gets injured again. Soucek, the Czech Fellaini off the bench as the super sub. Anthony Gordon, who could actually play for me instead of Vinagre in game week 2 if he is starting for Everton, as Everton play West Brom that week. And finishing the bench with Ferguson, who could be a new nailed-on starter for Palace, who are usually quite tight defensively. And that is the team. This is what it would look like in game week 1 with the fixtures. And it might not look the strongest because of that Greenwood bench, but Auba to De Bruyne after game week 2 means we can have cover for most of the top teams at the start of the season. With no weak links in the starting 11 or midfield enablers, which realistically won't get many returns at all, whilst also potentially being ahead of a massive curve having a United player ready to come in from the start. Wildcarding super early is also an option, but with how many of the big teams want the big boy signings and the transfer window being open till October, which is a whole like 3 or 4 weeks into the season, I think it's better to have a quite safe but also quite easily buildable and switch around team like this, to ensure we won't be slacking behind anyone at the start. Like, imagine you plan all your transfers and then you wildcard early, then Man United sign Sancho, Chelsea sign Havertz, and Newcastle sign Mbappe. How are you going to get all of those in that quickly? So I'm avoiding myself a big boy headache, and I'm currently happy with this team, but it will definitely change. So more drafts coming soon, I guess. But thanks for watching this dank Game Week 1 first draft with fixtures. And remember...
Don't be a cheeky scrub. Subscribe to Nathan Bacon right now.